The Harrison family Christmas dinner was in full swing when my brother Michael decided to remind everyone of my apparent life failures. I sat quietly at the far end of the elaborate dining table in my parents' Manhattan penthouse, picking at my mother's overpriced catered turkey while Michael held court. "So, little sister," he called out, swirling his third glass of premium whiskey, "still pushing papers at that tech company? What was it called again?" "Infinity Solutions. Innovation Dynamics," I corrected softly, thinking about the real company I'd built, Shadow Systems, currently valued at $4.2 billion. Not that any of them knew that. To my family, I was just Olivia Harrison, the disappointment who refused to join the family's prestigious investment firm. Right, Michael laughed, his Rolex catching the light as he gestured dismissively. "The startup that processes payroll or something equally thrilling. Tell me, what's the going rate for data entry these days?" Our mother, Elizabeth Harrison, touched his arm in fake reproach. "Michael dear, don't tease your sister. Not everyone can handle the pressure of real finance like you do." I took another sip of wine, remembering the morning's board meeting where Shadow Systems had finalized its latest acquisition, a small but significant tech firm that would complete our AI security framework. The same framework that would revolutionize cyber defense in ways my family couldn't comprehend. Speaking of real finance, my father chimed in. "Michael just closed another billion-dollar deal at Harrison Capital, the youngest managing partner in the firm's history." "Technically, I started, but Michael cut me off. Actually, sis, since you're so interested in finance, you might want to update your resume. Harrison Capital is always looking for administrative support. Filing coffee runs." He smirked. "Things more suited to your capabilities." If he only knew that Shadow Systems had quietly acquired a controlling interest in 3 of Harrison Capital's biggest clients. Or that the mysterious tech sell-off causing their stock to drop was orchestrated by my company's AI trading algorithms. "That's so kind of you," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "But I'm happy where I am." "Happy?" My mother's perfectly maintained facade cracked slightly. "Olivia, darling, you live in a rental apartment and drive a Honda. That's not happiness, that's settling." The rental apartment was actually the entire top floor of a luxury building I owned through a shell company. The Honda was a deliberate choice, less conspicuous than the collection of exotic cars in my private garage. "Did you hear about the Shadow Systems IPO?" Michael suddenly asked, changing topics. "The mysterious founder who's revolutionizing AI security? That's the kind of success you could have had if you'd listened to Dad about joining Harrison Capital." I hid my smile behind my wine glass. Shadow Systems' upcoming IPO was indeed the talk of Wall Street, though not for the reasons they thought. Tomorrow's announcement would reveal more than just our public offering. It would expose the vulnerable cybersecurity systems at major financial institutions, including Harrison Capital. "Maybe Olivia could invest some of her savings in the IPO," my sister-in-law Amanda suggested with fake kindness. "If she has any savings, that is." My phone buzzed quietly, a message from my COO. "Final preparations complete. Press release scheduled for 9 a.m. tomorrow. Board confirms unanimous support for the reveal." "Actually," I said, setting down my glass, "I have been following Shadow Systems quite closely." "Oh." Michael laughed. "Planning to apply for a job there too? I hear they have excellent benefits for support staff." "Something like that," I murmured, thinking about the press conference scheduled for tomorrow morning. The one where Shadow Systems founder would finally step out of the shadows, revealing how a failed daughter had built a tech empire right under her family's noses. "Well, enough about Olivia's career choices," my father declared. "Michael, tell everyone about your new summer house in the Hamptons." As Michael launched into another self-congratulatory story, I excused myself to use the bathroom. In the hallway, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in one of my mother's oversized mirrors. My simple black dress, custom-made in Milan, looked exactly like something a mid-level tech worker would wear. Perfect camouflage for someone who'd spent years building an empire in secret. My phone buzzed again. A news alert this time. Shadow Systems' revolutionary AI security platform set to disrupt financial sector. Major banks scrambling to address vulnerabilities. I smiled, thinking about Harrison Capital's outdated security systems, the ones Michael had dismissed as good enough when I tried to warn him last year. Tomorrow they'd learn just how wrong they were about their security, about their success, and most importantly about their failed daughter. Everything okay, sis? Michael's voice carried down the hallway. Not feeling overwhelmed by all the success in the room, are you? I touched the small pendant around my neck. Actually a secure key containing Shadow Systems' core algorithms. No, Michael, I called back. Just preparing for an interesting day tomorrow. The real show was about to begin and my family had no idea they had front row seats. The morning after the Harrison family Christmas dinner dawned cold and clear. I sat in my real office, the entire top floor of Shadow Systems headquarters, watching multiple screens as the financial networks prepared for what would become a historic market opening. Ms. Harrison, my assistant Jack appeared silently. Your family has arrived for the investment consultation as planned. They're waiting in the main conference room. I smiled, picturing Michael's smug face as he prepared to explain basic investment concepts to his struggling sister. The invitation I'd sent this morning, suggesting I needed his expert advice about investing my modest savings, had been perfectly timed. Are the news crews in position? I asked, adjusting my outfit. Gone was yesterday's careful camouflage, replaced by a power suit that cost more than Michael's monthly salary. Yes, ma'am. Every major financial network is set up in the lobby. Your brother is already complaining about having to walk through all that media circus to reach the conference room. My phone buzzed with a text from Michael. Where are you? Some pretty important people are trying to get into this building. Don't embarrass me by being late to your own consultation. The financial networks were all running the same headline. Shadow Systems founder to be revealed, tech world holds its breath. The ticker showed major bank stocks, including Harrison Capital's, already beginning to fluctuate. Let's not keep them waiting, I said, standing up. Is everything else ready? Jack nodded, barely containing his grin. Security cameras are live streaming to your tablet. Your father has checked his watch 6 times in the last minute. Your mother is critiquing the office decor, and Michael has already tried to network with 3 different executives who completely ignored him. The elevator ride down to the conference floor was quiet. Through the glass walls I could see my family seated around the massive table. Michael was mansplaining something to Amanda, his hands gesturing grandly. My father kept glancing at his phone, likely watching Harrison Capital's stock price begin its inevitable decline. I don't understand why we're meeting here, my mother was saying. Couldn't we do this at Harrison Capital? This media circus is so unprofessional. I paused outside the door, watching through the glass as Michael pulled up what looked like a basic investment presentation on his laptop. Poor Olivia probably couldn't get into our building with her credentials, he laughed. Better to humor her here. Good morning, family, I said, walking into the room. Thank you for coming to this investment consultation. Michael spun around, his practiced smile faltering slightly as he took in my appearance. Olivia, what are you wearing? That suit looks expensive. I finished for him, setting my briefcase on the table. It should. It cost more than your new summer house. Don't be ridiculous, my mother scoffed. You can't afford. She trailed off as the wall-mounted screens suddenly came to life, displaying Shadow Systems' logo and real-time stock market data. Breaking news banners scrolled across the bottom. Shadow Systems founder to make historic announcement. What's going on? My father demanded, his investment banker instincts finally kicking in. Why are we really here? I picked up the remote and turned up the volume just as the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange began speaking. In an unprecedented moment in tech history, we're about to meet the founder of Shadow Systems, the revolutionary AI security company valued at over $4.2 billion. Oh, how interesting, Michael interrupted, still clueless. We can watch this before we discuss your investment options. Though you really should consider Harrison Capital's new fund instead of. Michael, I cut him off. Do you know why Harrison Capital's stock has dropped 15% in the last hour? He blinked, quickly pulling up his trading app. His face went pale. How did you know about? Because Shadow Systems' AI security audit revealed critical vulnerabilities in your firm's cybersecurity infrastructure. The same vulnerabilities I tried to warn you about last year when you were too busy mocking my desk job to listen. The room fell silent except for the TV announcer's voice. My mother's wine glass slipped from her perfectly manicured fingers, spilling red across her designer dress. "What are you saying?" my father whispered, realization finally dawning in his eyes. I turned to face the wall of screens, where my professional biography was now being displayed alongside Shadow Systems' technical achievements. "I'm saying," I smiled, "that the mysterious tech founder you've all been speculating about? The one who's about to revolutionize financial security and expose the vulnerabilities in outdated banking systems." I paused for effect. "She's been serving you Christmas dinner all along." The look on their faces was worth every holiday dinner of condescension, every smirking comment about my career choices, every dismissive wave of Michael's Rolex-adorned hand. But the real show was just beginning. The aftermath of Shadow Systems' revelation unfolded like a perfectly executed chess game. I remained standing in the conference room, watching my family's carefully constructed reality crumble in real time. "This is impossible," Michael stammered, frantically scrolling through news articles on his phone. "You're just, you can't be." "Just a what, Michael?" I moved to the head of the table, taking the seat he'd been unconsciously positioning himself toward. "Just your little sister? Just a desk worker? Just a failure?" The screens around us continued displaying Shadow Systems' technical achievements, each one a direct counter to every dismissive comment they'd made over the years. My mother had sunk into her chair, her designer outfit now bearing the red stain of spilled wine, a fitting metaphor for the morning's events. "The security vulnerabilities," my father said slowly, his banker's mind finally connecting the dots. "Harrison Capital's stock drop. You planned this." "Actually," I pulled out a folder and slid it across the table. "I tried to prevent it. Remember last year's family dinner? When I mentioned that major financial institutions needed to upgrade their cybersecurity." Michael's face reddened. "When I said we had top-tier security and you didn't know what you were talking about." "Yes, that conversation." I opened my laptop, displaying real-time security breach attempts being blocked by Shadow Systems AI. "Your top-tier security has been compromised 47 times in the last hour alone." My systems stopped each attempt. Amanda, who'd been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly found her voice. "But your apartment, your car, your clothes were all carefully chosen," I finished for her. "Do you really think someone worth $4.2 billion lives in a simple rental? That building you've been looking down your nose at? I own it. Along with half the block." The media frenzy in the lobby had reached a fever pitch. Through the glass walls, we could see reporters setting up for the official announcement. Jack appeared at the door right on schedule. "Ms. Harrison, the board is ready for your presentation." And he paused, allowing himself a small smile. "Harrison Capital CO is on line 1. Something about an urgent security consultation." My father stood up so quickly his chair toppled backward. "You need to stop this. The market impact." "The market impact," I cut in, "is exactly what I warned you about. All those times you dismissed my concerns about outdated security protocols, called them unnecessary expenses. This is the result." I pulled up another screen showing Harrison Capital's client portfolio. "In the last hour, 3 of your biggest clients have already reached out to Shadow Systems for emergency security upgrades. By market close, that number will triple." Michael, still trying to salvage his dignity, attempted one last power play. "Dad, we can fight this. Our lawyers." "Your lawyers," I interrupted, "are currently reviewing Shadow Systems' complete security audit. The same audit that shows how your firm ignored critical vulnerabilities, potentially exposing client data. Would you like to guess how that will play out in court?" The room fell silent again, broken only by the muted sounds of the media circus outside and my mother's quiet sniffling. "Why?" she finally asked. "Why go through all this deception? Why not just tell us?" I stood up, smoothing my power suit, the one Amanda had clearly recognized as a piece she tried to buy last month but couldn't afford. "Tell you? Like when I tried to tell you about my first AI breakthrough. When Dad said I was playing with computers instead of focusing on real business. Or maybe like when Michael suggested I stick to data entry because it was more my speed?" Walking to the window, I watched the city skyline. A skyline increasingly dominated by buildings owned by my various shell corporations. Every time I tried to show you what I was building, you saw what you wanted to see. The family disappointment. The one who wouldn't follow the prescribed path. So I stopped trying to make you see. I turned back to face them. Instead, I built something so undeniable that even you couldn't dismiss it. Though I have to admit, watching you mock my desk job while I was buying up your clients was entertaining. My phone buzzed, a message from our PR team. Press conference ready. Forbes exclusive, waiting for your signal. Now, I picked up my briefcase. If you'll excuse me, I have a company to run. Jack will show you out, through the back entrance of course. Wouldn't want you to face those reporters just yet. Wait, Michael called out, desperation creeping into his voice. Maybe we can work together. Harrison Capital's resources are exactly what I don't need, I finished. But if you're interested in upgrading your security systems, my sales team would be happy to provide a quote. Though fair warning, our services aren't cheap. As I reached the door, I paused. Oh, and Michael, about that summer house in the Hamptons you were bragging about last night. I smiled. Check who owns the land it's built on. Shadow Systems Real Estate Holdings might sound familiar. The walk to the press conference was brief, but I could feel the weight of years of underestimation falling away with each step. Jack fell into step beside me, tablet ready. Your family's cars are being brought around to the secure exit, he reported. And Harrison Capital's stock has dropped another 10%. Send them our standard security proposal, I instructed. Same rate as any other vulnerable institution. No family discounts. The media lights were blinding as I stepped onto the stage, but not as bright as the future I'd built while my family was busy doubting me. Sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right so thoroughly that their doubts become irrelevant. Good morning, I addressed the cameras, my voice carrying the confidence of someone who'd won before the game even started. I'm Olivia Harrison, founder and CEO of Shadow Systems. And I'm here to change the way we think about security in the digital age.